I got the display case already. You can see the unboxing and the links to buy a display case such as this for your collectibles. And now we're going to get to the unboxing. And I bought this ahead of time before my item arrived. I don't really buy anything that's religious. You know, my mom came from the Roman Catholic faith. My husband's Roman Catholic. And I just so happened to come across this listing, right? Randomly. Like, out of the blue on YouTube. On eBay. And I was like, there was something about it, right? And I didn't even know it was religious. And then I was like, I was drawn to it. I was like, I have to have this. And then I further read and I found that it was a religious item. And the seller wanted $280 for it. Well, I didn't have $280. And especially for something I've never purchased before, you know, the same type of antique. So I think I offered $160. And he came back at $195. And I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to buy it. We're going to check this out. Now, the reason why I got a display case is because I did some research after the fact. And I found out that this is very old and very fragile. And you want to keep it protected from dust and sunlight and dirt because it'll further degenerate. It'll totally disintegrate over, you know, time. Especially if the lighting gets it. Very hard to open this. And I initially bought it for my husband since he goes to church every single day. He prays the rosary. 2-time cancer survivor. Just got diagnosed with cancer again. I don't know. I lost my faith somewhere. My mother died of stage 4 lung cancer. Right after that, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. For the second time, battled for 8-9 months with chemotherapy. And I was just like, I had enough of God. Seriously, I was like, I pray and pray and pray, and he gives me nothing but strife. You know, all the people I love getting sick, dying, and I just gave up on God. Pretty much, you could say I'm a jerk, but my faith really took a nosedive. And maybe this will bring me back to my faith again. Not that I had a lot of it before, but I always prayed, you know, like when people was sick or dying and what have you. And hopefully this will bring me back to my faith. I got a feeling about this. Didn't know why. And we will find out why in a moment. We'll check this out now. We got to be very careful. This is from the 18th century. I did further research. The seller didn't know much about it. Said it was 19th century, 1800, Austrian. Don't know about that. I asked further questions, and the seller really didn't know. There was not much answers. He said Austrian or German. I think it's none. Now, again, no expert, but I was doing quite a bit of research from the photos that were in the auction listing. And wow, okay, it is bigger than I expected. These are called, again, no expert here. From what I read, reliquaries, Paperolle reliquaries. They're travel size. They're decas or something like that. And they would be like a little portrait, like type of frame type of thing with religious artifacts in them. And, oh, okay, wow. Okay, just wow. All right, so let's check this out. All right, I am going to, hold on one second. I am going to lower my camera and aim it at a different spot so we can see this better. Okay, it's actually quite heavy, which is quite surprising. Yes, I did order a stand for it, a special stand on Amazon, where you can actually adjust the angle of how you want it displayed. And I really got prepared for this item. And let's try to take a close-up look at the portrait. There is glass. And so I looked at it and I'm like, it looks like a 1700s guy. And who could it be? And then I did so much research. Okay, the seller did not know who it was. And I was like, yeah, who is this guy? He's holding a feather quill pen. He's holding a book and he's writing in it. And over his shoulder is what looks to be an eagle carrying an inkwell by a string in his mouth. And so I looked at thousands, I'm not kidding you, thousands and thousands of different religious paintings on the internet. And I got a hit. And the hit was St. John the Evangelist. And basically he always had an eagle with him. And in 2 paintings, I found an eagle holding an inkwell. right next to him while he was writing the gospel. And he was on an island because he was exiled to an island, a Mediterranean island. I think it was called Palgos. I'm not 100% sure, but in the pictures that I found, the eagle was holding an inkwell, and he was always depicted with an eagle. So I'm like, this is St. John. Now, what's really cool is this is hand painted, probably in a monastery or in a place where the nuns, like a nunnery. What do you call that? A convent. It's most likely made in a convent. Now, if you look at this frame, going around it has amazing, beautiful gold thread. Look at that. Gold embroidered thread. Now, this looks like metal, but it's actual fabric. And that's why I'm looking at it more and more. And this type of fabric was very popular in the 1700s. This metallic thread. So I'm thinking that this is definitely like 1700s. Let's flip it over. There are supposed to be relics, holy relics on the back. And I am going to be very careful with this. And let's zoom out just a hair so we can see this in all its glory. And yes, on the back we have that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thread. There's a little hanging little thing made out of metal on the back. This is in exquisite condition for it being so old. There is a message, and it says, Plur Mar. And what the hell does that mean? Oh, I shouldn't have said the H-E double hockey sticks word, but it means multiple martyrs, okay? So in each curlicue, now this is called, I did my research, paperolles. And it's like this kind of thing they did with paper and twirled it around. It was very popular around that time. You'll see these in a lot of these little religious reliquaries. And inside each section of curlicue is a martyr. And I don't know if this is bone. Now, there's different degrees of reliquaries. There's first degree, second degree, and third degree. First degree is the highest. You'll have bones in there. You'll have a cloth from a saint or a martyr in there. But I don't know what's in here. Now, it looks like the white stuff is mold, but I highly suspect that it's not mold, that it's most likely some kind of fabric or cotton that had like adorned around the relic. So let's zoom in and get a close-up look. Wow. Okay, that looks like bone. Okay, that looks like bone. Now, there's no names. There's no names for the saints. It could be hidden underneath this gold wire, like right along the top going around. There would be papers on the edges telling you what the name of each saint is. I don't want to mess around with this because it's very delicate. If I start pulling on it and stuff, it could disintegrate in my hand. But let's look at the stuff that's on the inside. And, oh, my camera just does not like to focus. Let's try to get it to focus if we can. Can we get a focus? Hold on, I'm going to put my finger right there. Maybe it will focus, maybe it won't. Yeah, it's not going to focus. So I really can't show you guys this. This really sucks. Seriously, like this is supposed to be a really great camera. It's a Samsung S22. But, okay, wow, look at that. So in between each curlicue is something. Oof. That looks like bone to me. And let's go ahead and check that out. I'm going to look at it with a loop. Sometimes it could even be a fingernail of a martyr or saint. I don't know what that one is right there. Looks very bone-like matter. That looks like a bone. It's spongy looking, right? Like marrow. It could be a bone. There's more. Yes, there's more. And I counted at least 12 or 13. That looks like a bone. Do you see that? Okay, that looks like, yeah, most definitely a bone. I could be wrong. You know, I'm not an anthropologist over here. Don't know what that is. Okay, so during this time that this was made, the Protestants, there was like some kind of reform. The Protestants were like battling the Catholics. And it was against, like the Protestants did not want the Catholics with icons. And then Napoleon was on the loose. He was taking over country after country after country. And he started arresting all the Catholic priests and the clergy and the cardinals and all the heads of the church, putting them in prison. You were not allowed to have these religious icons. So I suspect that somebody hid this. And the names are probably under the ribbons. I really I don't want to mess around. The names of the saints could be like under each curlicue, like in sections going around. I don't want to mess with it. But this is really gorgeous. Okay, this is heavy. It's large. And it's much bigger than the travel sized ones that you usually see. All right, so I'm going to put it in the display case. We are going to do some research. We're going to find out now. Again, only paying, I think it was $195 was my counter, or was his counter offer back to me, down from $280. I think I got a really good deal on this. But it's not about money. Now, that's another thing with these icons. It's against the Catholic religion to sell icons. Seriously, it's not allowed. You're supposed to be giving this stuff away for free. So if you're a Catholic and you're selling icons, that's a sin, actually. And on top of that, these were supposed to be sealed. They were supposed to come with like a wax seal from a bishop with a piece of paper stating that it is what it is to be a true icon. I'm guessing that it went missing. It went missing. Something was going on. It was around the time of like Napoleon destroying Europe, the Protestant reform, them locking up and going after Catholics, and even martyring Catholics. And so I don't think there would be any paperwork with this because it probably is long gone. All right, let's put it in the display case. Again, look at that amazing painting. I got the glare from the stupid lights above. Let's try to check it out with the glare. Really, really quite 1700s. If you look at that, behind him is the trees. It looks like it's a sort of island. Again, he was exiled to an island where he wrote the rest of the gospel. I believe he wrote the book of something with the Revelations. I'm not well versed in church or anything Christian. I am not an atheist, but I am not a full believer. But holding this in my hand is maybe a placebo effect, but it feels nice. It feels nice to hold this in my hand. I don't know. I'm getting a tingly feeling. It could be all in my head. I am a little bit of a superstitious person, but it's feeling really good in my hand. All right, so we're going to place it in the display case. We're going to learn more about this. Now, if it has a seal, this is a double-sided one. I don't see too many of these in double-sided. And so the seal could be, this could be like you have to pull this piece out and pull the other piece out. And the seal could be sandwiched in between the center. So it could be hidden, well hidden in there. Again, here are all the relics, the Paperolle. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. But look at those curly cues going all throughout the piece. Do you know how much time that took to do? Now, I don't know if this is paper or metal. It was mostly paper. But it actually looks like it could be metal, which is quite interesting. Because they use basically the gilded edges of old Bibles and cut the papers out of that and made the curly cue little Paperolle designs. They also call this jewlery. I did some Googling, no expert here. All right, let's put it in the display case and go over other ones that are like this and try to find out more information. We'll do research and learn about this together. How's about that? Okay, so now it's in its protective case. And it is, oh my God, it is so beautiful. I can't get a focus on it. For some reason, it will not focus. But it is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and God bless the guy that actually brought the price down on this. That was so nice of him. Look at this. Definitely at least late 1700s, just the turn of 1800. Right around there. I've handled enough antiques over my time to know that that type of metallic thread is more of a 1700s, very early 1800s thing. Even earlier than the 1700s was this metallic thread. Let's get a close-up. It's in the display case, but you can see that is definitely metallic thread. And that was not cheap at the time. That had like flecks of gold in it. Really quite amazing. Look at that. It's in actually spectacular condition, even with the little bit of, you know, the melting of the fabrics going on. And even the painting is in phenomenal condition. Let's try to focus. My camera just does not focus. I don't know what the dealio with it is. But yeah. Okay, so it's in its protective case, thank God. And let's go do more research. Okay, so I went through thousands and thousands of pictures on the internet trying to figure out what saint this is. And here's an example of a rendition of the evangelist St. John with his symbol of the ego on Patmos. Okay, so it's Patmos Island. With the devil stealing the inkwell. So as you can see from my picture, the eagle, at first I thought it was a griffin, and then I thought it was a dove. Turns out it is the eagle holding the inkwell by the string as he's writing in the book with the feather quill pen, and the devil trying to steal the inkwell. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's St. John. Here's another painting rendition from Spain. And again, he's with the inkwell, with the eagle holding the inkwell. And he's writing in his book. He's on Patmos. And this particular painting was actually made in the 16th century. It's an oil-on panel. And it is in Spain. It's in a church in Spain, in Granada. And so I don't know where they got this rendition, their version of the rendition from. But they had to have seen these, what I'm showing you. Whoever painted that had to have seen this. So this is a 16th century painting. The other one that I just showed you is, I don't even know, does it even have a date? Date 1300 to 1500. Interesting. Okay, so what I was telling you about quilling and paperolle, paper gold, the history and art of paper quilling. And oh, they want me to, I'm not paying you. Go away. And so paper quilling is like what we saw inside of my thing. And it shows you, it says, during the Renaissance, the Catholic Church, at the height of its power, heralded a new religious art. With the emergence of new ideas and a desire to spread their faith, no expense was spared on the greatest craftsmen and materials to produce the finest works. It is why today we have the stunning papal apartments and St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. But not every church was privy to such expenditure. Impoverished churches and monasteries throughout Europe sought more modest means of reverence. In the early form of upcycling, monks and nuns repurposed the trimmings of gilt Bible pages into intricate pieces of art. Strips of paper would be coiled around goose quills to form spirals that were then molded into various shapes and fitted into panels or crucifixes. This simple act of paper curling began what is now called quilling, or the art of papercraft. And so it goes on and on. It was a hobby amongst wealthy women throughout the Georgian period. They would just sit, they had idle time, and they would do stuff like that. And yeah, okay, so you can, in 1870, 1890, it came back. It was a lost art for a while. It came back, and women would actually start doing this again. You can buy whole kits with paper that you can quill and make it really fancy. Here's such more pieces with the history of quilling, and you can see, similar to the back of my piece, you have all this like cool stuff, somewhat religious, like saints and what have you, some just typical like boxes of the time, really interesting art and so on. And it's called paper rolling or paper scrolling, and very interesting. All right, so it's a technique that was achieved by French and Italian nuns in the 16th and 17th centuries, genteel ladies in the Stuart period, ladies of leisure in the Georgian and Regency periods, and is currently enjoying a modern revival. Apparently they're redoing this now, but the nuns on the continent decorated reliquaries and holy pictures by adding and gilding and much ornamentation. And it spread throughout England with the development of paper through vellum and parchment were also used. Poorer churches produced religious pictures with rolled decoration. When gilded or silvered, it was difficult to distinguish from real gold or silver filigree work. Quilling was never practiced by working class women in the past. It was a decorative art which ladies of leisure would use to work on panels and coat of arms. Later, it was extended to include covering tea caddies, work boxes, screens, cabinets, frames, etc. And interesting, and there's something in the New Ladies magazine talking about it in 1786. And then in 1875, an attempt was made to reintroduce this art. I'm just going to show you nothing. I mean, I can't find anything that matches mine. Mine is really unique with that really beautiful golden metallic thread going around it. This one, here we go. Here's a double reliquary. They are not cheap. This is Spanish. And on the other side, we have really cool stuff. We have relics in there of saints and martyrs. Very, very interesting. And it's 18th century, so 1700s. Here we go, 18th century convent monastery reliquary works. And you can see all different things you can get, but I haven't found anything as elaborately pretty as mine. You can see the different prices for pieces, and mine is just really unique in the fact that I haven't seen any with that beautiful gold metallic thread going around the frame. Really interesting. This one is beautiful as well. This is from the 18th century. It has a painting with the Paperolle. And this is $1,800. This is 18th century, 1700s. Really beautiful. And again, very similar to what you see in my piece with those curly cues. Window, well, where the hell did the bones come from if this was made in the 1700s? Well, they started unearthing a lot of the tombs of the holy martyrs and saints around that time, bringing it over to Italy, where the Vatican is and everything. And then they started passing it out to churches to add into reliquaries and relics. So made between the 17th and 19th centuries for use in homes and convents, quilling reliquaries were traditionally created by cloistered nuns. The reliquaries were embellished with ornate, minutely detailed compositions in paper and other materials such as wax, ivory, glass, and crystals designed to adorn the relics within. Sometimes these reliquaries would contain highly significant souvenirs that pilgrims returning home from Rome or Jerusalem would entrust the nuns to be placed in a box decorated with the paperolles, the French term for quilling and scroll work. And you can see many different beautiful pieces. Other times these objects enabled the faithful who are unable to travel all the way to Rome, and cloistered nuns in particular, to undertake an inner pilgrimage by proxy. They were not made to be works of art, but as a sign of doing away with the superfluity of abnegation. They were devotionals. And very interesting. Here's a French one. And there's this guy with this amazing collection. You're not allowed to really buy this if you're a Catholic. And it's not supposed to be sold. So it's pretty, messed up that, that guy was really nice to lower his price. But you're really not supposed to sell this stuff. You're supposed to give it away for free, actually. So reliquaries were intended to preserve the earthly remains of holy personages who have been sanctified. This scene located in the center of the paperolle represents the child Jesus trampling on the serpent. Two angels carry his cross in the presence of the Virgin. And this is France from the Louis XIV period. Don't know what year that is, but there we go. Paperolles. And inside the curly cues in each section was a relic of a saint or a martyr. Bones, what have you. And bones are very rare to have because it's considered a first-rate relic. It's really only supposed to be in the Vatican or with big, high, falutin church, people in the Vatican, not in regular collections. Another such piece, 18th century Italian reliquary, which is holding the bones from martyred saints. And you can see in each paperolle area, there's bones in each one of these little cells, which is really, really quite cool. And this is very rare. The relics of martyrs. The relics of the martyrs of Rome. And you can see bones, shards of bones in these things. Really interesting. And they are sacred Christian relics that hold great significance to the Catholic Church. Rome is the city of the first Christian martyrs and the first bishops, and the relics of these saints have been venerated for centuries. The martyrs of Rome were Christians who were persecuted and executed by Roman authorities for their faith. They were put to death in various ways, included by crucifixion, beheading, and thrown to the lions in the Roman amphitheater. Their bodies were buried in underground cemeteries known as catacombs. Over time, the tombs of these martyrs became places of pilgrimage for Christians who came to honor their memory and pray for their intercession. Christians believed that the relics of these saints had special power and could cure illnesses, protect believers, and bring blessings. Now, over the centuries, many relics of the martyrs of Rome have been transferred to churches and monasteries throughout Europe. Relics were often given as gifts to European rulers and were seen as symbols of divine protection. The veneration of relics of the martyrs of Rome is an important aspect of Catholic piety. Believers believe that the saints can intercede with God on their behalf and help them in their life of prayer and devotion. The relics are also considered witnesses to the history of the church and the persecution of Christians over centuries. Okay, so I have no clue whatsoever what I have here. You did see there was loads of bones on the back. I don't see any labeling. Could be hidden under the metallic thread. Don't want to mess with the metallic thread. It does fall apart and disintegrate. If you touch it, it's so old that there could be a problem. I'm going to keep this in the shadow box. I'm going to get it blessed by a priest and ask the priest more questions about it. Although we are really not supposed to own it, and you don't want to lie to a priest that the priest says, hey, how did you get it? I'm going to send my husband actually to get it blessed. I don't leave the house really. I have bad anxiety issues. And maybe this can cure me of my anxiety issues. I'll pray to God and ask this a saint, Saint John over here, to intercede on my behalf to actually get me out of the house and better again and well. And maybe it can even cure my edema. I have severe edema in my legs, and it's very hard for me to even walk. Let's turn this around and check out the back again. We got all the bones. And so you can't really lie to a Catholic priest and say, well, if he says, well, how did you get this? Well, I paid 195 doll hairs for it with tax and shipping, 220. And he's going to be like, you're not supposed to have that. It has bones in it. It belongs in the Vatican. No, I'm not giving it away. So if I go to HE double hockey sticks for not giving it away, because it's not supposed to be in, my hands, too bad. And yeah, I know that's like a crappy attitude, but yeah, no, it's mine and I love it. And I want to keep it in my collection and enjoy it. Thanks for watching. See you guys all soon. Maybe we all learned something. I don't know. Bye.